Hey, what's up? This is Michael. Lately, I've been talking about this platform or slogan that I came up with called "Let's Start Something." The reason why I'm trying to catch most people's attention with "Let's Start Something," be like, "Oh, what are we going to start?" Well, we need to start doing as a community and as basically a family. Look, my opinion, whether you want to accept that or not, is that we're all connected in one way or another. We were created by one creator, and we've been given the opportunity to get it right and to do the best we can. But unfortunately, we failed at that, and we were given a, sort of like a plea bargain, if you will. I only know that kind of lingo because I've done 13 years in the Department of Corrections here in the state of Arizona. Anyways, let's start something from that platform. I want to start the conversation about poverty, homelessness, drug abuse. It could be methamphetamines, cocaine, any kind of stimulant, plus opiates, heroin, fentanyl blues, other different types of heroin or opiates out there. It doesn't matter what you call it or where you came from or how you started. If it started for you, if it didn't, if you know somebody, a family member, you might. Of course, I've been surrounded my whole life by drugs. I've done very well at staying off of them, but I've had family members who, end up doing them, and they've had problems themselves. So I can tell you that I've had a lot of experience with drug abuse and even alcohol abuse. My dad was an alcoholic for 40 years. I saw what he went through from a baby all the way up until the moment he passed. God rest his soul. So what I understand about that drug and that alcohol is a drug. It's just, it becomes a habit like anything else. Can you get off of it? I guess. I see my old man pretty sick from drinking too much alcohol several times. It's not a pretty sight at all. It's just as bad as being sick off of opiates, if not worse in a way. I kind of, just watching somebody go through that is horrible, especially if they have mental disorders. And my dad believed he was bipolar and all that, but he didn't know anything about that until he became old enough to go, man, what have I done with my life? And he, like me, had been separated or estranged from his family. Me, my sisters, brothers, my mom. My mom never stopped loving my dad. She just decided that her children, me especially, were more important than he was, because she was afraid that I would turn out not like him, but that I would be affected by some of the things he was doing, and he was getting out of line there for a while. I watched my brother knock him out as a kid because he was trying to beat on him, and that was interesting. My old man had the biggest black eye I've ever seen, and I remember him doing push-ups when I'd be laying on the bed as a child, him doing push-ups, thinking that somehow he was going to be able to defend himself against my brother, which was not going to happen. He had a mean streak at the time, and my brother was already hanging out with bikers at the time, and so this guy Brian, BB, he calls himself, or is nicknamed. Unfortunately, I'm not trying to say anything, but he's been on one for the last about a week, and he can't get along with anybody. He's isolated himself. He's going through a stage of anger, depression, fear, and anxiety, and I understand. He spent many, many years on the streets just doing alcohol and drugs, and he misses that because he can go numb himself from feeling all the fear, anger, and problems that he has to deal with here. He's pretty much pissed everybody off to the point where they don't want to even talk to him. Me, I'm impartial. I don't care. I just want him to be okay. He's threatened some people that are terminal here, and I wanted to fucking cream him, but as long as he keeps his hand to himself, it'll be cool. But anyways, that's what all that noise is. He's yelling at somebody, and I'm tired of it here, I hate it here, all this. He could walk out of here at any time. We're not held prisoner here, even though it feels like a prison, because it really does worse than a prison. In prison I can, get commissary, which means I can buy food. I can get my mail anytime it's supposed to get it. I can get packages if I'm allowed to have it. You can't have that here. They hold our packages, which is kind of crazy. And so I don't use the name or where I'm at, but it is a medical respite place. And I'm fortunate and very proud and honored to be a part of this situation, because there are many people here who are dying. There's already been 2 people who passed away since I've been here. One guy we lost, 2 nights ago. His name was Steven, and he was fine just a week ago, you know what I mean, playing guitar, singing. He's a hell of a musician. And so he wanted to do that before he went, and thank God gave him the opportunity before he took him home. So, I don't know exactly what was his issue, but it probably was some sort of cancer. There's a lot of cancer patients here, and most of them are terminal. I've already done an interview with Jason. His name is Stuart. He calls himself Jason. He's been acting erratic and very crazy lately. He is only 2 beds down from me, and I look out for him because a lot of people are pissed at him because he can't keep his mouth shut, and all he does is talk to himself and be all weird and do a bunch of noise and stuff that people do when they mix drugs or are on too much heroin or opiates. I know, I've been there. I can't honestly say exactly what I've done, but I know that I've been in like a opiate, heroin, methamphetamines coma, and when I'm in that, I've had people tell me that I said certain weird shit or was acting like an actor or something, just being goofy and stupid as hell. Way back when I was a baby, actually, when I started doing cocaine and mixing it with heroin, it was all bad. So that happens. I get like comatose, and you know what I mean. I don't even realize what I'm doing, and it's kind of stupid and silly. A lot of people are not honest with me exactly what happened. Some people have been violent towards me, have hit me, and other things because they want me to wake up from it. And I wake up from the second and go, what was that? I got hit. Last time I got hit several times in the ribs. That was painful because the next day I was trying to get up and down the street and my ribs hurt really bad. But it is what it is. People don't care at their time of displeasure with you or the situation. I have created a wall of hate and anger between me and some of my best friends, some of the people I loved my whole life. And I allowed that wall to build because I never took the time to fix it. I just assumed that everything was okay. And I'm just one of those people who's not passive, but I'm forgiving and understanding. And I don't hold a grudge. Never have. I've never been vengeful, malicious, vindictive, any of that kind of crap my whole life. And I don't understand why people are. That's just doesn't, it trips me out. I mean, why plot and scheme against people because they rubbed you the wrong way? I mean, that's a waste of time. I mean, it hurts you more than it hurts them because they don't give a shit, So that's just a wisdom that I definitely learned a long time ago. Whether I was a part of that or not, it didn't matter. That's not what my heart and mind tells me to do, ever. I'm just one of those screw-ups that decided to get high and do the things I used to do because it became a habit at an early age in order to numb my feelings or escape my situation. On the surface, some people might say, well, they understand exactly what that situation is, but they don't. I wasn't very open and honest during the early stages of this last episode that I had. We can call it an episode or episodes. But early on in the pandemic, what happened with me is that prior to that, I had a pretty decent job. And after that job ended, I got another job, and I was upset because they let me go because I told them, in the interview, look, my girlfriend is an avid smoker of marijuana, and every now and then I partake with her, but it's not my thing. And it's true and it's not true, but the reality of it is I was honest with them. And they said, oh, don't worry about it. Well, 2 weeks after I did a really hard job up at Yuma, working at a hospital and repairing a lot of concrete and stuff there, when the job was done, I was done. They let me go. And so that really pissed me off. And so I came home, blew a real fat one with my son inside of his truck. Him and I think his girlfriend was there too, but I don't remember. But we definitely got baked, and I was super high. And what I really needed was my Suboxone, because I've been on Suboxone for 3 or 4 weeks prior to that. I was going to counseling and I was working out, and Suboxone is like a miracle. At least it was for me. I didn't get sick from, and what Suboxone does along with this new drug, Vivitrol, which is cool. I guess you get a shot every 30 days, and it prevents you from getting high. And if it prevents you from getting high, then why are you going to try to get high? Well, some people are just stupid, and they keep trying, and they'll kill themselves because they don't realize that their body doesn't know the difference. If your brain is not getting high, your body is, and you're fucking up your liver, your heart, your whole fucking respiratory system, and it's all bad. So a lot of people die even though they take this stuff, but you know, the intention is to get off of it. That's why I don't really like methadone, and that's my opinion. You know, when you see somebody who's 3, 4, 5, 6 years, maybe even 14, I heard one time 14 years on methadone, that person had no intentions of quitting or letting go of a drug that has been keeping them down for years. However, it's not their responsibility. It's the clinic's responsibility. They use them for their insurance, for their income, in order to keep them on this drug. And really, I think the laws need to be changed that every single company is responsible for giving you methadone in order to get off your heroin or your blues, your fentanyl, whatever, you know, China White, whatever is your pony and you like to ride it, that's cool. The reality of it is, I think what these people need is a program that works. The programs I've seen don't work. I've only tried it once. I was sick as a dog. We drove all the way from Globe, Arizona, all the way to Mesa that day, me and my family, in my truck. I freaking practically wrecked my truck in a parking lot, trying to just get out of the parking lot. I was so messed up and sick that we rushed down there, and we did everything we could just to have enough money to get there, because we were broke. Thankfully, my ex grandfather-in-law was willing to allow us to use a gas card in which we traded gas for money, and we got all the way down there. By the time I got there, it was still early enough to get dosed and to see a doctor, but the doctor didn't show up until late. So I put 2 chairs together, curled up in a little ball, and practically cried myself to sleep. You know, I was just so ill from the whole thing. And you know, I've experienced being sick a few times. That one was rough because I didn't prepare for it. You know what I mean? We were supposed to have time with our family up in Globe, and you know, it was all bad. You know, because we were all kind of just at each other's throats, and we weren't getting along at the time. Pretty much because I wasn't keeping it together. You know, it only takes one good man to do the right thing, keep a family together for as long as it needs to be, and I let them down. That's my fault, and I take the blame for that. But anyways, so my idea for that is that if a clinic is going to offer you methadone, and it's government funded or state funded or wherever they're getting their money from, and your insurance is paying for it, if it's not coming out of your pocket, you don't get to choose how you get it. And the rules should be, look, we're going to start you off at a decent dose, not 30 milligrams, because that doesn't do shit for anybody. Because you have to remember, the only reason they're there is because they're feeling sick and they're dealing with anxiety. Even though you think maybe 30 milligrams might heal somebody or make them feel better, I don't care if that person is sick. I can guarantee you they need more than 30 milligrams. They need to be started off at 100 milligrams a certain many times per day, and all the way up to 130. And if they're really bad, like 2 or 3 grams a day, consistently, they might need up to 200 or whatever the max is. But the idea is to help that person get to a level where they're okay, and for a certain amount of time, and then help them deal with getting off of it while supporting them and helping them to find you know, a decent place to live, work, education about the drugs and the situation themselves. You know, not force them into it, but tell them that's part of the deal. You know what I mean? CBI was doing that to me when I was getting Suboxone, which is not a drug. I mean, it is a drug, but it never got me high, and people were buying it from me at the time. And you know, I didn't really think I needed it, but I obviously did, because I got sick in Yuma when I went to go do a job, and that's how I came home. Me and my son smoking that blunt. Anyways, back to that. So my idea for that is helping that person actually get off it, and the rules are going to be simple. Within 365 days, you have to be completely off your methadone, and if you're not prepared to do that, then you have to go to another clinic, and you have to get approved within a week or 2 in order to have that happen. The reason being is because we want to make sure that person is not sick, and that they're not, and they get the attention they deserve. However, they should have coaches and counselors and case managers to help them reach the goal of getting off these drugs, because there's no reason to continue living like that. None. If people are taking it because they're terminal, or they got a lot of pain that they're never going to be able to deal with, they have several patients here like that, that's one thing. But if you have your average 20, 30 40-year-old man or woman who needs to get their shit together, then that should be the way it should be. Because it's ridiculous that we would allow people to be on it for 3, 4, 5, 6 years. That's ridiculous. That's not helping anybody. That's just enabling somebody to keep on doing what they're doing. And more than likely on the side, because you haven't helped them deal with the problem yet, they're going to be doing other drugs as well. They might hold on to their take-homes for a long period of time while they're just getting high all the time, and they test you and all that crap. But you know, if you come high or whatever within a certain period of time and you haven't figured it out, they kick you out and you have to start all over again. You know, the rules are meant to be broken. However, my idea is just to get the clinics, hospitals, and other places where I live at, the shelters within all over the state of Arizona: Scottsdale, Glendale, Phoenix, Peoria, Tempe, Queen Creek. Some things get hard to pronounce when you start losing your teeth, you know what I mean? Probably not if you have all your teeth, that's just good. But okay, so that was just one idea, and I just got up on a little tangent there. But these are great ideas, right? And we need to come together as a community and help these people. Listen, you know, it could be your children, it could be your mom, your grandma, your brother, your daughter, your son, grandkids, pardon me, whatever it is. And however you're affected by it. You want to help these people, but yet you don't want to enable them. And yet you don't need to do like interventions. You know how people do interventions and stuff. You just need to keep it real with them and love them and tell them, like, I'm going to support you and I'm going to have your back no matter what until this is gone and you're free from this for life. You know, you can't give people ultimatums who are addicts because they're sick. In my opinion, it's like telling somebody who was born autistic, hey man, pull up your fucking bootstrings and quit being autistic. Does that sound fair? It's not. You may not believe me, you may think I'm full of shit, but do your homework. Addiction is illness. It's a definite illness. And for a long time I thought, I'm not ill. I got my shit together. I got a good job. I'm healthy. I got an old lady, kids, house, cars, trucks. I'm doing the damn thing. Well, that's true. I was. And I never pulled up to a dope house and said, you know what, fuck my old lady, fuck my kids, fuck my truck, fuck my life, and fuck my job, right? Never, ever has happened in my whole life. The only time that I was like that was maybe when I was 17 or 18, before I knew I was a man and what I had to do for my life. And after my first child was born. That was very important that she got what she deserved. But however, her mom and I were kind of toxic, more than just toxic. We hated each other's guts. But it's all cool because now we're friends and we realize, hey, you know, I'm a fuck up, you're a fuck up, and we're all good. We'll figure it out somehow. And she did, and she's doing all right for herself. And I still have been throughout the years of my adult life screwing up one way or another. But I've had a lot of clean time as an adult, and I would say 15, 16 years. So, you know, so about 7, 8 years of my life as an adult, I've been strung out on drugs one way or another, but scattered, not too, more like 1 or 2 years, not even 3 years, but 1 or 2 years every time since I was, you know, the age of 25. We're coming up on 20 minutes. I wanted to make this real short. My story matters. Your story matters. My life matters. If it wasn't for the situation that I've been in and what I've been through, this wouldn't be happening. This video wouldn't be taking place, and I wouldn't give a shit. But because I've lost everything, and I've never felt so much dread and pain and sorrow and anger and frustration in my whole adult life. I mean, I've been through the ringer. This last time, it really messed me up. And when I say last time is because I've, you know, what they call a relapse. But when I relapse, it's not, you know, a week or two, a weekend. And for me, I go until the cups come on or the wheels fall off. You see what I'm saying? I don't know how to stop or get help or do what I needed to do. At least I didn't care enough to figure it out. And I didn't care because I didn't want to deal with my life. I didn't want to take care of my responsibilities. I didn't want to do this. I didn't want to do that. Something was going on. Well, the main problem is that I'm an addict. I can admit that today. I can understand that I am ill. I have an illness, and it's called addiction. Can it be managed? Can you forget about it? Can you let it go? No, you can't. It doesn't work that way. You have to be proactive the rest of your life if you're an addict. You have to figure out a way to stay clean. You have to figure out a way to stay honest and healthy and loving, kind, honest. I mean, how many times am I going to say honest? That's one of the biggest things to me, is keeping it 100. I promise you, because I haven't met anybody like me, I'm going to tell you right now, you will never meet anybody like me unless I can be of help or service to them, because doing what I do on a daily basis and keeping it the way I do on a daily basis takes effort, it takes heart, and it takes passion. I am very passionate about being up in your face, 100% real. Am I mean or cruel about it? Absolutely not. Am I vindictive, malicious about it? Absolutely not. What it is keeping me sober. Why does that keep me sober? Because I'm my own worst enemy. I have a conscience, and I've always had a conscience. Since I was a teenager, anytime I hurt somebody, stepped on somebody, especially somebody I loved, I beat myself up to the point where I just stayed high, because I didn't want to think about all the pain I've caused and how it's affected me, because obviously there's backlash if you hurt somebody else, right? Sometimes I was just being stupid, lied to, tricked by other women and stuff like that. And it really wasn't as bad as I thought it was. But other times, I left people in some really bad situations. My ex-girlfriend, for instance, when I got arrested in Oklahoma, neither one of us were trying to do the right thing. We were just at each other's throat at the time, but our kids really needed us to get it right. And neither one of us were ready to do that. And we were just letting the stupidest, craziest thing happen all around us. I don't blame her, and I don't blame myself, because like I said, we're addicts. And, we have an illness. Despite what she may think or what she's thought about me or herself and all of the rest of life and everything that's in it, the reality of it is that she's no better than I am. She's a dope fiend, and I'm a dope fiend. And the reason why I say that is I don't want to sugarcoat it. I'm an addict. Yeah, that's fine. Hey, I'm Michael. I'm an addict, and here's my problem. Say if I was in a meeting or something like that. No, I'm Michael. I'm a dope fiend. I said, well, no, you're not. You're better than that, man. You're not like that. I'm like, you obviously don't know the Michael who gets high, do you? So just keeping it 100. You know what I mean? I'm a dope fiend, for real. I used to sing about it, laugh about it, joke about it. Ask my kids. They know that I used to make jokes about Dad being a dope fiend and not giving a shit. And it was cool for them for a period of time until, hey, motherfucker, where's my meal? Hey, you bought me any shoes or pants or anything? You've done anything for me, motherfucker, lately? Probably not. The only one person I know that I took care of whenever I could, was my son. Because whatever clothes or whatever hygiene or anything I come up on, he got half of that, or I kicked him down. I didn't like my son until 30, and he didn't give a fuck, but I didn't like it. And so I made sure that he had his soap and other stuff, especially during a time when we were living in Sunny Slope. So that was a rough time for me, because, here I am. All I want to do is make these people happy, and I don't know how to do it. I don't want to lose them either, and I don't know how to stop that. But everything happens for a reason. Some people come into your life for a chapter or two, and then they're gone. Unfortunately, I lost my son. We don't need to get into that. But I also lost my girlfriend. We don't need to get into that. But I can tell you what's happening right now is I actually have a dialogue with my oldest daughter, my youngest daughter, and I've got to meet a grandchild of mine who I haven't met before, and she's already almost a year and a half. There's a couple more, or one more at least, that I haven't met, and there's one that I miss very much, which is my son's daughter. I look at that child and I get super angry, but there's nothing I could have done about it. I don't have a legal recourse, unfortunately, because all these people, even though I call them my family, I chose them as my family, see, and they chose me for a period of time. But obviously, look, I'm rubbish. You're gone. You're not doing anything but causing me pain and anguish and all that. So I get that. Looking at from their perspective, You know, I wasn't the Superman I used to be. And believe me, when I came into their lives, I was the man that they needed at the time. Believe me. I know and I remember everything I sacrificed and everything, all the hard work that I put in to make sure that they had what they needed. And they were living a good life until I fucked it up. Until I got my back hurt and fucked it up. Reason being, I didn't have what I have today. I have friends and support, people I've never even met before, but I can promise you that when last Friday, for instance, when I found out I had to get a partial knee replacement and it broke my freaking heart, I was in tears and I was so pissed. This chair sucks. I've been in it for 5 months. I was forced on my feet early on after I got my accident, because I didn't have a wheelchair anymore, and my son actually broke it when he was trying to open it up. He broke it because he's big and cock strong, you know what I mean? And he bent one of the guides on the bottom, so his chair was fucked up anyways. But some dumbass fucking stole it from my front yard, you know, fucking assholes. So I reported it, and they wanted me to make a police report, and I don't call the cops unless you stole my $30,000 pickup truck. I'm probably never going to call the cops. That's just the way that I am. However, now I've changed my attitude towards the police. I think, like you and I, like anybody else, sick, depressed, mental issues or anything, cops are people too. And they are one of the most unsympathized people when it comes to men like me, because I'm a convict, I'm an ex-con, and my very first tattoo is right here on my wrist. You see that? That says FTP, fuck the police. I gave it to myself when I was like 12 or 13. My mom was really pissed off. But I did. I had stick and poke with a needle and some graphite and some shampoo. Made my own ink, and I spent time doing that. It was very painful, and it's really deep, and even if I wanted to get it removed, the scar would remain for sure. That's not how you're supposed to get tattoos. I've learned. So, where am I at? Because, you know, my problem with this is that, you know, I've got people right now that have such an interesting story to tell that would help other people see that they're not alone in the world. That's the biggest thing. But I can't interview them legally here and share that video. So I'm going to start stockpiling our interviews, and I'm going to release them later when I'm not here, right? I don't share the name of this place. I have before, maybe once or twice. You would have to actually look for it or know who I am to know where I'm at, personally. But like I said, anyways, I got a lot of friends that offered me support when I found out I was going to have a partial knee replacement. And the bummer about that is that a year ago they could have prevented it because they knew there was a fracture in that knee. You know, second, third opinion, we'll just let it heal. And the way it healed is preventing me from extending my leg or being able to stand up straight or having any strength in that knee. And it sucks. Getting this one repaired this like in September 15th. I should be back on my feet November 1st. Now, they're doing a bone graft and plating in this leg. Partial knee replacement will be 4 to 6 months before I can get back on my feet. This is not a good situation for me because I've either been hustling or doing some dumb shit or worked hard on my whole life. I've never sat on my hands and been on the sidelines. That's not how I get down. It's not that it's embedded in me. It's just I can't stand being in this situation. Unfortunately, I think God allowed it to happen so all this would come to fruition, right? One, I would be honest with myself and say, you know, I had a lot of love for my girlfriend and I love my kids wholeheartedly. And there's nothing that's going to come in between me and my children and my grandchildren. I promise you that, unless it's me. And so I'm going to step out of my fucking way and make sure I do everything I can to be a part of their lives. But I can tell you, to be honest, I wasn't honest with myself when it came to my girlfriend. There was things I had planned in my life that I had dreamed of doing, and she didn't want to have anything to do with it. I should have just did it anyways because she loved me to death for it today, and I'll go back. But I let her down, and that's just the way shit happens. And there's no taking back all the pain or bitterness that I've done. Like I said, I went to prison, and we were in Oklahoma. She's never been to Oklahoma. They were there maybe a few months. Came back to the state, came to see me, which was awesome. I really appreciated that. And it was so amazing to see her. She was so beautiful at the time, and she was wearing these white pants, and I hear I've been in prison for a few months already, and my girlfriend doesn't like to wear pants, just saying. I miss her, even though we're never going to be together again, I believe. I still miss her. I can be honest about that. I miss her a lot. So, apart from that, she came to see me, and I felt so shitty. I almost beat the fuck out of a cop, which has never been my MO, but woke me up early in the morning by kicking my rack, and I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? You're kicking my rack? It's fucking Christmas time, and I haven't spoken to my old lady and kids in 3 months. And I don't know if they're alive or dead, and I don't know if they made it back home or not. Turns out they barely made it back home because, the tires were falling out, the fucking tread came out, knocked the fucking electrical box out. They were able to get that fixed, and they slept in that car for a while when they got back here to Arizona, and then some piece of shit decided to steal it from whatever the truth may be. It was all bad. And so from what I understand, I wasn't there. I was in prison, right? So I felt bad, and I had to do 2.5 at that time. And I ended up going back and did 5 after we got back together, so that's tough. So just to let you know, as friends and family out there, you can survive this shit. You can rise above it. You can dream up beyond your dreams. You can start telling yourself that you deserve better, because you do. The only person who actually has a foot on your neck is the devil and yourself. And if you want to get that foot off, you just look the devil in the face and say, you know what? Fuck you. I'm going to do it for the right reasons this time. I'm going to get the right help this time. I'm going to get clean. I'm going to get sober, and I'm going to surround myself with loving, caring friends who will do nothing but pray you to death so you leave me the fuck alone for once. That's a fact. A lot of demonology and some very bad things have happened to me in the last 3 years that I never saw coming. God, I've known the Lord all my whole life. I've never met the devil in person. I can say that I probably have, and that's the scariest thing anybody would ever want to have happen in their life. And then how I know, so I've talked to people who've actually been through the same situation, so I found out, I'm not a nutcase, and neither were they. And so God put them in my path, because I've never talked to or even met anybody like that before. Put them in my path so I know that, hey man, it's okay. You were scared, you ran, you should have stayed. You didn't know any better, and I wasn't there to help you, and there was nobody else helping you either. And I ran from my home when I should have stayed and made it happen, made it work. Because maybe my son will still be alive. And that breaks my heart. It really does. That's just a maybe, right? Things happen for a reason. We could say that, but I can tell you what, God didn't make that child pull that trigger. God didn't set him up for that. I promise you that. There's something deeper and more demonic going on at the time, and I know it in my heart and soul. And I let it be me, and I'm not going to do that again. So with that, that's a pretty scary situation. Maybe too much, kind of heavy for you, but I want you to understand. Let's Start Something is about starting the conversation. It's not just about me just sitting here rambling on to this fucking phone for an hour to an hour. It's about you taking up the mantle and going, okay, let's start something. What can I do? If you can't figure it out yourself, talk to your wife, talk to your son, your daughter, whatever. Figure this out. The reason that you need to figure this out is because I know for a fact the drug that I'm most concerned about is fentanyl. And we call them fentanyl blues or Percocets or whatever right here in this city right now, Phoenix, Arizona. Fortunately, a couple weeks ago, $1.6 million worth came off the streets. Thankfully, that cop by accident found it, and I'm so happy he did. God bless him and his family. I hope he never gets any backlash from it, because we all know where that shit comes from and what they're willing to do about it. So I'm not against them. What I am against is information, and not people not getting the right information. I don't care. I don't believe in whatsoever that any more than maybe 20% of the population these days even watches the news. And the reason I don't believe that is because everybody's stuck on their phone and social media. How hard is that to get out from? I don't know. I have an addiction that I developed in the last month, and that's because I've been so nose to the grind and hell bent on doing what my purpose is saving lives and helping families get it together and stay off the streets. I have a lot of support, but I want more support, and I'm not taking any money or funding at the moment. I'm not going to do that until I can develop a system where I can be completely transparent and itemize lists of everything that I do, every fucking penny I spend on doing this, because the purpose of that is that one day I plan to rub elbows with the senators, with governors, and hopefully the White Office someday. Would definitely appreciate that. We can actually have a voice for change, not just addicts, but human beings in general. We can't just keep throwing, money at the situation or putting a band-aid over it anymore. The war on drugs is a farce. It's not working. It hasn't worked for a long time. There's no more daring, no more just saying no. That doesn't work. Education works. I believe the best way to handle education in the home is to invite people you can trust, who know what they're doing and talking about, like myself, who are willing to go in there and show them, look, I'm not no punk, I'm not a chump, I'm not here to scare you, but I'm here to keep it real. What you're embarking on and what you've done with such and such Johnny or fucking Stacy or Susan or whatever down the street is going to lead you into a path of destruction. The only reason I survived is God chose me to help you get off the bucket drugs and make sure that you have a life and go to school and get an education. That's really important to do at a young age. I think the best thing is prevention. I don't care what anybody says. Because when you get to be my age, or even to an adult, most people don't recover from being an addict. And a lot of people are dying, especially from fentanyl blues. So that's my focus. That's my dream, and it's going to happen. I've got tons of affirmations all over the place every day that this is going to work, and we need your help. All of us. I don't have it all together, nor would I ever say that I have it all together. And I don't make a lot of lofty promises. I never have. I can tell you this though, as long as you work with me and you give me your attention, I will never let you down. I promise that. I promise myself that I'm never going to let anybody ever down ever again. The reason I can promise that is because I'm not going to give myself or put myself in a situation where I can. People will pretend to be something they're not. People will try to meet the status quo. People are trying to keep up with the Benjamins. Well, guess what? I don't give a shit about all that. I'm penniless at the point of I can't even buy a pack of gum or even a stick of gum. I've never had a dime in the last 6 months, and all the money I made in the last 2 years was part of the hustle in order for me to stay alive. It had nothing to do with having a house, having a car, having a place to stay. It was maybe having a bicycle, a backpack, the essentials, clothes, hygiene, and dope in my pocket. The only thing that mattered for almost 3 years, really, to be honest. And that is a matter of survival. That is not a choice. Nobody ever chooses to be on the streets and to be homeless. Once they are homeless for a period of time, they choose to stay that way because they become comfortable with it. And imagine how uncomfortable somebody would be after, say, 5, 6 years, even up to 12 years. All of a sudden, they got to get back into the mainstream of society and figure it out. I'm really concerned about our veterans. I don't think it's fair that any of them are homeless. However, some of them feel more comfortable on the streets than they do in a regular situation like the community that I want to develop, and the network of friends and things that I see happening. Listen, I lost my right to vote. I can't carry a weapon. I'm going to get all those rights back. But instead of being a politician like I was meant to be, my dad was meant to be a politician, and I should have probably been one too. My brother would have been a great politician. The only problem is that I quit lying and manipulating like when I was 20. Because I realized that after my first time in prison how fucked up I really was, and how I deserved to be there because of the situation I was in, and how it was really easy for me to be something I wasn't. And I was doing that my whole life at that point. So have I made mistakes? Have I lied? Have I been able to con and do what I needed to do to survive? Yes. But I took advantage of my family, which was a bad thing. I stole from my family, which was a bad thing. And it's a no-no. I don't do that shit. I've been accused of it recently, and to tell you the truth, I've had belongings that didn't belong to me that I've sold in order to stay high or to stay well, or to have something to eat or drink. That's the truth. If that makes me a demon, so be it. The reality of it is I know better. weight of sin, the punishment for sin is death. And all who have sinned, and that's everybody, will fall short of the glory of God. Only one has done the right thing, and that's Jesus Christ. You can believe me or not, I don't care. I wholeheartedly believe that stuff because I went to school for it, I studied, and I already had a relationship, so that all that did was just brought me closer because I realized how important that really is. And that took a back seat to my kids, my family, and everything I had to do because I was so busy and worked so hard. I didn't focus on the right things or help them focus on those things either, and I should have been teaching them. Even in the Word of God, I tell you, man, it's a bad thing, bad place to be. And I knew it, and I just let it happen. So, I'm at 40 minutes. I'm going to stop this video. I'm going to upload it. You're probably never going to watch this whole thing, but it's all good. Listen, let's start something. Let's start the conversation. It's always going to be entitled, Let's Start Something, until I come up with the right name. My brother forced me to change the name because he said I wasn't thinking deep enough, and he was right. Because it was going to be something like Dads Against Fentanyl, and DAF. I was going to use it like a... Nobody wants to use that shit, especially him, because he's an IT guy, and they deal with, doing that all the time. Everything's, this, and it's always, it's messed up. I'm just saying. So he's right. So I needed what? So what I did was come up with something that nobody would steal, and nobody. There are companies that organizations that use Let's Start Something, but it has nothing to do with what I'm trying to do. And I haven't tried to license, and I'm not making any money off it. So if all I'm doing is using a name you have registered, well, come get me, because I ain't got time anyways. So God bless you. I'm glad that anybody who ever watches these things is paying attention. And believe me, I need your help. My community needs your help. Help me figure this thing out. I want to develop a network of people, clinics, hospitals, shelters, sober living, halfway houses. All of them need to come together and have maybe even a one, because hospitals share a network of information when it comes to your health now. Before they didn't do that. They didn't talk to each other and all that. But I don't know when they changed it, but now, your information when you go to a clinic, when you go to a hospital, all that, they can get to the information to make sure you are who you are and that they know how to treat you. I want the same thing to be a universal for everybody. Every human being and child that walks this planet should have a system that we can develop now. We have the technology that when your name and number is typed in, they know who you are, where you came from, what you've been through, and all that. And we need to be open and honest about ourselves. We learn at an early age to defend ourselves by lying, by cheating, by being somebody we're not. I mean it. I understand it. Everybody's like that. So I forgive and love every one of you because I know how hard life really is. I've been there, done that. I just want everybody to be the way I am because it makes me really happy. It has helped me to get past some really heavy shit in my life. And, some people may hate me and regret to ever know me, but the reality of it is, there's one thing I quoted that was my quote. Some people want to drag you down when you're in a position of like I am. They want to drag you down because next to you, they look like a piece of shit. The reality of it, that's true. But in my Word of God, where it says, we're all pieces of shit, and I basically say, get over it. # read a book. What I mean by that is, man, get off your ass and find something, some truth in your life. I don't care if it's Buddha, Hinduism, Mormonism, Christianity, Catholic. I don't care what you're into. You're going to find some truth in that, and you're going to change because you want to. You won't even look into it if you didn't want to have a higher something in your life. And there is somebody that wants to make a connection with you. And if you keep trying and keep looking, you're going to find it. Or it, or her, or whatever. So, God bless you. I'm at 43 minutes. Again, I'm doing this for the right reasons. I have no desire to steer you wrong. I guarantee if anybody steps to me, they're not going to be able to overpower me or tell me any different because I, for one, have been there and I didn't have to go through university to figure it out. I got it figured out. So I want to help, and I want you to help me to understand myself in the situation even more so we can help each other. I mean, for God's sakes, we're not here alone. We're not meant to spend life alone. And some of us have been alone for a while, like myself, and nobody wants to ever be alone. That's the most miserable place you could possibly be. And you will associate yourself with some of the greatest scum you ever met in order to be not to be alone and do things you would never do to not be alone. let's hope that that doesn't happen to everybody, and we can help this situation get better. I'm going to stop this exactly at 45.